Hey everyone, I'm Dustin, CEO of 630. Today we're going to be assembling the Simple Glide 500 watt Recumbent E Trike. Now the box weighs approximately 100 pounds. The assembled bike is about 92 pounds. And if you're curious about the actual dimensions, it is 61 inches long by 33 inches wide. And the actual box itself is 30 inches tall, but we have them up on these feet to be delivered, which makes it about 34 inches tall. Now, the great thing about this trike is it comes about 95% assembled, and we're gonna walk you through everything. Now, I recommend to get these straps off if you have some snips or some good scissors. You wanna get those off of there. And then just go ahead and toss those to the side here. Now to complete the assembly, you're actually only gonna need some Allen keys. I like to have a box cutter and then those snips. And like I said, everything else is pretty much fully assembled and ready to go. All right, so when you open up the top, you can see, if you can look in here and see how your trike's gonna come. This is the back to the seat. Actually, no, this is the seat itself, sorry. We've got a box here, our basket, and to start pulling everything out, now you can also see the front wheel comes on, which isn't always the case. So all you really need to do is put the handlebars in and put the back to the seat on, and you're pretty much up and running. So let me go ahead and snip off all these zip ties. Like I said, if you have a snip like this or a really strong pair of scissors, it's gonna make it a lot easier to get all the packaging off. Now there are quite a few zip ties, so you're probably gonna have to just double, triple check you get them all to make sure everything comes loose. Okay. All right, let's see. And there's actually one connecting this. Okay, I think we got it actually. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this box out. Now this is the backrest of the seat. We'll just set that aside. And we can go ahead and get the basket out as well. Set that aside also. Put that down there. Okay, now from here, we can actually go ahead and get the handlebars installed to make this a little bit easier. So, let me go ahead and take some of this packaging off right here. And we got another zip tie right here. Okay. Now you can use a box cutter to cut the tape, but you just gotta be very careful you don't scratch the frame, so I'm just using my hands. This is where your basket's gonna go. All right, so let's go ahead and take all this off. All right, from here now, if you see on the handlebars, there is a flat side right here. And if you look inside the tube, there is also a flat side. So, seems to make pretty good sense here. You want to match those two up. Oops. There we go. Oops, sorry. There, okay. Oops, I gotta loosen this actually. Let's loosen our quick release. There we go. There we go, now it'll slide right in. So if your quick release is too tight, that won't be able to slide in. Okay, now if you wanna swing around to this side, Now that we have this in, down here you can see this is not letting it go in because this is locked. So on this side, there's a button right here. Just gonna push that, and that's gonna allow our lever on the other side to come down, okay? Now from there, we can click this in place, and then we can bring that in to lock that out, okay? Now, we can't adjust the wheel straight because the trike's in there. So, if you should want to keep your box in the case that you maybe have to send it back, I would advise you to get a helper and lift it out of the box. Or you could find another way to get it out. What I like to do though is just cut these two corners with the box cutter here. And if you make a nice cut, you could salvage this box just by taping back up the corners. So let's go ahead and just take that. And we're basically gonna create a little ramp for ourselves here. Okay. And of course, just be careful. All right. Now we got our little ramp. Put our drawbridge down. And from there, you can just wheel it right out. All right, I'm gonna clean up the garbage, move the box out of the way, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that we've got this piece in, we wanna tighten this. So this is also adjustable up and down. And you want to, it's like a quick release on a seat. You want to tighten this side down, okay? Till this gets harder to tighten, okay? That's probably good. And then from there, you can, find the height that works best for you. I actually would probably tighten this a little more even. There we go. All right, now, cool thing here too is we have a adjustable gooseneck that doesn't require any tools. So there's a little lever right here if you see it on the side. And, oops. To loosen it, you just pull it down and lift up. And from there, you have free rein to move your handlebars to the position that works best for you, okay? So I typically like them somewhere like that. All right, now this is just a little tip also, is right here you've got your connections. And if you're adjusting them, just be careful if something doesn't come disconnected like just happened to us. So not a big deal. Just match up the arrows on the wires. You'll see those and you can just pop those back in. All right. Okay, so we've got the handlebars all set up. Let's go ahead and move on to the basket, since that is pretty easy. All right, so here's your basket. Now the 4 bolts come on here. There's some metal, like a long metal washer, if you will. Need to snip another zip tie. Trying to set the world record for zip ties. All right. From there, prop this open. Okay. All right, so these are what they look like. And these are gonna actually go on the inside of the basket here. Now I'll show you in a second. But first, we need to remove our bolts here. And these are a 4mm Allen key. So everything on the bike is gonna be in metric. All right, now we can kind of just take them out with our hands. Now it's important when you're doing this also to just make sure you put these in a place where you're not going to lose them, because something like that will happen. Okay, let me get the packaging out of here. All right. All right. Okay, now you are going to open up the basket, take this silver piece and put it on top like so. And then from there, you may need to actually thread your screw through this. Okay. Okay, we've got it in there. Go ahead and put it right here, and then we can thread this on. Close that down just a touch. Let me get my screw all the way in here. Okay. Let me actually get my 4mm. All right, we'll just get it on there loose. Okay, then from there, we'll move on to the other side. Okay. Okay. Now I like to leave everything loose before we get all of them on there. And so let's just go ahead and repeat the same process with this bottom bracket. All right, now that we got all four in, you can go ahead and tighten all the way down. Okay, so we tightened all four on, and now your basket is safe and secure. And when the handlebars are turned like this, you can get the basket all the way up. Okay, let's move on to installing our seat here. So go ahead and take the packaging off. All right, now from here, we got the back to our seat in this box right here. All right, we also have included an extra handlebar. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a second, but this is in this second box here, as is your charger, okay? So I'm just gonna open this up and then put it in the basket so we don't misplace it. Also inside of here, you got some tools for assembly, if you want to use those. All right, so you've got 4 bolts that are zip tied onto the seat here. So let's cut those off, okay? All right. Now let's give you a look here of what's going on with the seat. Let me show you. Okay, so you're gonna put 2 bolts in through these two holes on both sides, right here. Okay, so let me show you. I'm gonna go ahead and tilt the bike this way and show you what's going on. Now, if you wanna come look over here. All right, so underneath here, there's two holes down here, okay? That is where the seat's gonna bolt onto. If you have someone that can help you, it makes this part a little bit easier. If not, your best bet, if you can, is to tilt the bike over. But actually, if we do that, I'm gonna put down a mat to protect it. I'll be right back. All right, so we'll just tilt it down. I've got everything protected. Okay. All righty. Okay, so now, let me show you exactly what this looks like. So your seat is going to come on like that, okay? And we're gonna line up those holes and then tighten it on. So, now this can be a little tricky. And like I said, if you have a helper, it can make this a little easier because they can hold the seat in the correct place for you. And then sometimes just getting the first bolt in here, okay? So I actually got it in there right away. Okay. So I'm in with the first one, all right? And again, don't tighten it all the way, just leave it in there loose. Okay, now from here, now I may have actually made that too tight, so let's loosen that a little bit more. So we want to have a little more play. There we go. Okay. Now pop this one through. And actually, this would be, well, we found the hole, but this would be a lot easier actually if we take the battery off. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick. Here's your keys. This is a pretty simple process. Just gonna turn this in, that in, then you just loosen this, and that comes right out. All right. All right, now we've got way more room back here to operate. Okay. Okay, and we're in now for both of these. So again, don't tighten them. Now from here, go ahead and lift it back up. And then we're gonna spin it around. Now from here, you got a good angle actually to see those holes. And I'm just gonna come over here. And you're gonna put this in. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. There we go. And just get it threaded. Okay, we're in. And last but not least, so there you go. Move that around till you find the right hole. Not even till you find the right hole, really till you find the threads. Okay, so now we got this last one in. From here, you're just gonna tighten, and we'll just go back through and tighten all of them. All right, all four nice and tight. Now we can lift this back up. And assembly is pretty much done at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and put our battery back on. So let me show you that. If I want to come around the back here. So you actually want to get it all the way to the back here, and then it just clicks in a little bit, okay? So that's important. All right, now if you're wondering, these are actually for canes, to hold a cane, but quite honestly, it can be used to hold anything that can fit in here that you could clamp onto securely. Trying to think. We are done. I'm gonna remove all the packaging and then I'll walk you through the other aspects of the trike. All right, one thing I wanna point out is these plastic pieces on the axles, this is just packaging, and you're gonna find this on both sides. So you can go ahead and take these and discard them. Now, as I said, we included an extra handlebar. Now, this is if you don't like the handlebar position, you could change to the different handlebar. It's a little bit less rise to them. Now, changing these is not exactly, you know, a hop, skip, and a jump. It's not difficult, but you just have to take everything off the handlebars and slide it on. So probably would take about 30 minutes to an hour, removing the grips, removing everything, and putting them in. But we wanted to offer that as a way to change the riding position if you so choose. Now down here, right here is how you adjust your seat. You're gonna tilt this down, okay? So don't pull it, don't lift it. You just simply, you wanna push this part down like that. From there, your seat will be able to go backwards. Oop, let me get on. It's a little bit easier when you get on, you can push back, all right? And then you wanna click it into place. So push it down, you can slide forward, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and tilt that, slide all the way back for me. All right, now from there, like I said, you can find your position for your handlebars. Go ahead and bring this down. I like them like this personally, even a little bit farther back. Yeah. And then just click that into place and you're off and running. A few things to get going here. Now you've got parking brakes up here. Your parking brake is located here. The way this works is you pull the lever, push that in. Now the parking brake's engaged. You have that feature on both sides for the front and the rear. To remove it, just pull and it pops out. Now right here is your derailleur. You have 7 speeds on this trike like on a normal bike. So while you're pedaling, only while you're pedaling you can shift. This shifts up, this shifts down. So you just push to go up, push to go down here. This is your throttle right here. So it's a twist throttle. So if you don't want to pedal at all, twist the throttle. This is a kill switch. So if it's popped out, the throttle will not work at all. To engage it, you put it in. Now, down here on the battery, your battery needs to be turned on. So actually it's on this side right here. If you see right here is your on button. We're gonna push and hold, okay? Lights up blue. Now from here, we can come up to the handlebars and we can turn our screen on right here. All right, you've got your pedal assist level, miles per hour, your odometer. You also have the reverse feature. So to go to reverse, you're gonna go 1 below 0. And if you wanna, I'll show you really quick. Now I do need to bump the tires, but from here you can twist the throttle and now you can go backwards, okay? And we can go forwards. All right, so I'm gonna engage the brake here, put this. Now, the gears and brakes should come pre-tuned, so you probably don't need to do an adjustment. Now, if you use your trike a lot, you are gonna wear down the brake pads over time, at which point you may need to make adjustments to bring them in closer. If your brakes start to feel soft, meaning when you brake, they're not super responsive, it may be time for an adjustment. Any bike shop or mobile mechanic could do that, or you can also do it yourself. I'm gonna have Peter actually show you now how to do a brake and a gear adjustment if they're not dialed in properly before you go for a ride. Now, if you're not comfortable adjusting the brakes, please have a professional do it. The gears also same thing, but again, they should be pre-tuned from the factory.
Hey everyone, Peter here. I'm gonna go ahead and do the brakes and gears for Dusty. One day, maybe Dusty will do it for himself, but until then, you got me. All right, so we're gonna do the front one first. I'll show you what to do on this. This is actually a little bit different than some other models, and the reason why is because it has this nice big 500-watt motor, but it gets in the way of the pad distance adjuster right here, little pad adjuster. So you can't get to that, all right, just to be quite frank with you, but we can work around that. We don't really need to. So what that thing does is it moves the pad, the inner pad in and out, and so it can adjust the relation, how wide the pads are opening. But anyway, we can adjust that by also tightening the cable here or also using this barrel adjuster. So we'll get to that in a little bit. So first what I'm gonna do is we can squeeze up here at the lever, kind of see how it's feeling. And if you were to lift the bike, a little bit heavy, but here we go. I can see it is rubbing just a little bit, okay? So in that case, what I can do is either loosen the barrel adjuster, which means when you loosen it, it's actually, you want to loosen the cable. That means turning the barrel adjuster clockwise in. So it comes in and it gives more slack on the cable, it gives a little bit more room. Alternatively, if you want to give them a little more room as well or tighten up, you can also use the actual cable pinch bolt, which will increase or decrease the amount of slack you have, or the amount of distance you have between the pads. So just by loosening that, I'm guessing that, we should test it up here, yeah. Now it's a little bit too loose up here. I can tell up at the lever, it's coming all the way to the grip. So it's a little bit loose. If I lift it, it will probably have less noise though. If you hear it have a little bit of noise, it's okay. Yeah, so there's not making any noise or stopping it. But we want to tighten up a little bit. So I'm actually going to go ahead and, what we can do before we adjust the brake pad distance is go ahead and make the adjustment of the caliper. The caliper is the part that has the pads that squeezes onto the rotor, which is the disc. They call them disc brakes, but then when you're talking about the disc, you usually call it a rotor. I don't know why. So if you loosen these two bolts, these two right here, the caliper will become loose, and now it can be adjusted in relationship to the rotor. So you just loosen these two guys here, boop, and then you can go ahead and adjust it. Now, the best way to adjust it is to use a white sheet of paper underneath. Basically what you want to do is there is a pad on either side of the rotor that grabs it. And so you want just a little bit of daylight on both sides, okay? If there's a little bit of rubbing, don't let it bother you too much. It will settle in as the pads wear in a little bit. So then once you find your adjustment, you're gonna go ahead and tighten those back down. Sometimes you can go back and forth a little bit with the two, or kind of keep them just a little bit loose, and then you can kind of make little micro adjustments. The main thing is just to get those pads lined up with the rotor. And like I said, it's best to do it with a white sheet of paper in the background. And then, since I loosened this up a bit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a little bit of slack out of the cable right here. Now, here's the barrel adjuster. We'll get to that in a moment. Right now, I'm going to loosen the cable pinch bolt, and I'm going to pull up on this lever just a little bit, and then we'll tighten down on the cable. And that's going to go ahead and tighten the pads. And then if you look up at the brake lever, it's giving us a better feel. It's starting to stop about midway to the grip. That's what you want, is you want to give you resistance about midway to the grip. Okay, cool. If you want just a little bit more, if you want just a little bit tighter, you can also use the barrel adjuster. So what this does is it's actually just a screw. And so if you back it out counterclockwise like this, it will make the cable a little bit tighter, okay? Once you do that, you can take this little lock ring right here and spin that down, and it will hold the barrel adjuster in place. Now, don't abuse the barrel adjuster. You can see there are some threads coming out of the bottom. You don't ever really want those bottom threads to disappear. If this barrel adjuster comes out much farther than I have it already, it's gonna probably bend or break, okay? So just use the barrel adjuster for very small adjustments, but it really is very handy for making those little extra adjustments that you can't really get just by using the cable pinch bolt on its own. So there's the front. Now let's check out the back ones. Hey there, so let's do the rear brakes now. These are the adjustment bolts here, this one, and this one, again, they're 5mm. And then right here, the pad adjuster is actually extremely accessible right through the spokes right there. And that will move on this one, the outer pad, in or out. Right here, yeah. It's actually pretty much perfect as it is, but we'll go ahead and do these brakes just so you can see. Now what we're looking for is just, there's a pad on each side of the rotor here. The rotor is the disc. There's a pad on each side, and we're looking for just a little bit of space between each pad and the rotor, okay? So we can loosen the adjustment bolts, this one and this one. And then again, just like the front, now the caliper is loose. And so we can adjust it by basically sighting it with your eyes is the best way. Usually you can put a piece of something white behind there, and then you can see if you can make out 2 slivers of white between the pad and the rotor. And then you can hold it in place. That's about right there. And it may move a little bit as you tighten down, so you can tighten down both adjustment bolts alternatively. And there we go. And then when you're done, of course, make sure you give it a nice turn to really secure it. These are your brakes. So I'm going to go down here and use the other end of the wrench, which gives me a little bit more torque. There we go. And then this one, if I can get in there. There we go. Yeah, nice and tight. Now, and then, like I mentioned for the front one, if you feel like you need a little bit more tension, you can either adjust these. You can only adjust one pad, so you could adjust this one with the silver We'll adjust right here for the pad adjustment. But that will only do one side, and then you may have to recenter. Also, you can tighten the brake cable right here to get a little tighter. And then lastly, you can use the barrel adjuster, which we went over on the front brake. Turning it inwards clockwise will loosen and get a little more room. And then backing it out, going counterclockwise, will take slack out of the cable and make it a little tighter, which will bring the pads in closer. Okay? And then the other brake is done exactly the same way on the other side. All right, let's do the gears now. We need a 9mm socket and a Phillips. That's all we need, okay? If you do these steps in the right order, it's really quite easy. If you don't do it in this order, you'll probably never get it. So a lot of people struggle with the gears for a long time because they try and fiddle with the derailleur and make adjustments in the wrong order, and you just can never get it right. If you do it in the right order, it's actually very simple and very quick. I say this in a lot of my videos, but actually I can tune a 7-speed derailleur in about 30-40 seconds. Doing it the right way. Again, if you do it the wrong way, you'll just be fighting the nature of the derailleur constantly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lean this trike back, because we're going to do this one by sound instead of sight, which is a much easier way to go. So I'm just going to lean it back like this. So now I actually have the trike leaned up against a wall. That's the easier way, because I realized when I leaned it over so far, the pedal hit the ground and I couldn't turn the pedal. Here you can see I'm shifting up here at the handlebars. It's going through the gears nicely. It's already basically adjusted. It already is adjusted, but we're going to redo it just so you can see what to do. So listen, you got to do it in the exact steps I say. I think there are 12 steps, and do them in this sequence, and you will adjust your gears perfectly. The first thing we're going to do is you have to make sure that the shifter is in 7th gear up here, okay? So you want to make sure that you've clicked it all the way down into 7th gear, the highest gear, okay? That's step number 1. Step number 2, so we're going to use our 9mm socket here. We're going to go to the cable pinch bolt, and we're going to just loosen the cable so the cable is not held to the derailleur. All right, there it is. Now it's free. You don't have to take the nut all the way off, obviously. So that's step number 2. What we can also do, I see that the barrel adjuster here is run out a little bit. You can see the silver part. We can turn that in clockwise, and we want to pretty much run it until the silver disappears. That will help us out later on, okay? So now, I can show you we have a high limit screw and a low limit screw. The high limit is marked with an H and the low with an L. The H it's on its side, so it looks like an I the way I have it here, but really it's this, that's an H and then that's an L. So the high limit screw actually, as it goes down, it pushes on the derailleur and pushes the derailleur in. When the derailleur goes in like this, that's what makes it move into the other gears, okay? So if I were to pedal, hopefully I can do this without tipping the tricycle over, and then start to turn the screw in as well at the same time. I'm actually shifting it into 6. You can hear it making noise. And then it's gone into 6th gear there. So even though the shifter up here, which is no longer attached to the derailleur, is in 7th, the gears are actually now in 6th because I pushed the high limit screw in so far. So what we'll do, I like to move it towards 6 and make that noise. Then I know that it is starting to go into 6. So now I'm going to back it out. I'm going to back it out of 6 until it flops into 7th. There it goes. It went to 7th, but still making a little bit of noise. So I'm going to back just a little bit more. I'm going to back out just till it stops making noise. That's pretty good right there, okay? So at this point, now you have the shifter at the handlebars in 7th, and you also know that the derailleur is also actually in 7th, okay? And they weren't communicating that whole time, right? So now that they agree with each other, 7 at the top and 7 at the bottom, we can go ahead and reattach the cable. Now, when you're reattaching the cable, make sure the derailleur isn't, pushed in or something like that, because that will change where the actual position of where the cable is being attached. So we're just going to pull it in like that. Make sure that we're not messing with the position of the derailleur. I'm going to use my 9, tighten it back up. And once I get it pretty close, I'm going to grab the body of the derailleur and give it a nice little extra cinch there. Now what we do is we're going to go up 1 gear at a time and see if our adjustment is correct. Okay, usually, or often, you need to make the cable a little bit tighter, so I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to shift 1 gear into 6. So we're in 7th, and there goes into 6. It didn't go in though, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and use my barrel adjuster, and I'm going to turn this counterclockwise. You'll start to see silver coming out of here. Now it's shifting. Now shift it right into 6th, okay? Use the barrel adjuster there to make that little micro adjustment, okay? Now we're gonna shift into 5th. It goes 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Okay, great. Now, if it's not quite going into 1st, you can put it into low limit screw. The low limit screw just makes sure that the derailleur can go far enough to get into 1st gear, but not so far that it has the capability of throwing the chain off of the gears. So I usually don't mess with the low limit. You can actually see how close it is to hitting the part of the derailleur under here that it's supposed to, that actually limits the movement of the derailleur. Usually what I do is I leave just a little fraction of daylight between the end of this low limit screw and the little, the stop that it hits inside there. So now let's come back down and make sure that it also shifts into the higher gears. So now we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. Now, one note with the barrel adjuster, you see there's a little bit of silver coming out here. This you can use to tighten the cable as it settles in, or maybe if it loosens a little bit, but don't let it get too far. You don't want this to show more than about, I would say, 1/8 of an inch at the very, very most. So maybe just a little bit more than I have right now. If you get more than that, go ahead and run the barrel adjuster all the way back in so that silver slides back into the black part, and then you want to go ahead and retighten the cable. It's making a little noise down here because I got the cable stuck in the thing. But anyway, that's how you can perfectly adjust a 7-speed derailleur. It's really quite easy if you do it in the correct order, in the right sequence. You can do it.
All right, so you've learned how to do the brake adjustment, the gear adjustment, everything's fully assembled. Just wanted to show really quickly how to charge. It's really, really easy. So, and then just for the battery, again, you just turn the key and it'll slide right out. Okay. All right. So on your battery, there is a charging port right on the side here. And you can charge the battery while it's on the bike, or you can take it inside with you. The choice is totally yours. Whatever you prefer. All right. So you're going to obviously plug this in, and plugs into any outlet in a house. And then you plug your charger into the charging port right here. Now, when it's charging and it's not charged, this will turn red. When it's fully charged, it will either turn green or blue, and that's when you'll know it's done. It's going to take several hours, about 4 to 8 hours to charge it fully if it is depleted, so you will need a lot of time to do that. And put our charger back, and then putting it back on. I showed you earlier, you just want to set this on there about 1/4 inch from the back, and then it just clicks into place. So that's the assembly of the Simple Glide. If you have any other questions at all, please reach out to us, the team at sixthreezero.com, or call us 310-982-2877. So thanks for watching, and don't forget, it's your journey or experience. Enjoy the ride.